We also have a box of tiny boxes. Yeah, and then there are the boxes of bones. Come in. In this corner we have the building department where we fabricate all the cool stuff for the game by hand. What are you doing, Sophie?
I'm making tiny eyebrows for one of our characters.
And you're making it on the marble ball.
Yes, I'm making them on here so they get a curved surface, and then I am individually placing tiny little pieces of paper to represent hairs. You end up finding a lot of weird things that you find incredibly useful for very specific tasks.
Mm-hmm. Basically every detail on the puppet you see has been hand-built and has some kind of specific method that we use. I think it's what brings the game to life in another way, because it's you can almost feel like you have them in your hand when you sit and play the game, because you can see the fabrics and you can see the paint strokes. So that involves silicone and fabrics and paper and whatnot. I think we almost have all elements that I can think of in one puppet. We actually store them in a safe just because they are so precious in case there is a fire or there's a weird thief that comes and wants to steal puppets. And then in the safe we keep them in pizza boxes. And the pizza box idea is not our own, it's actually from Guillermo del Toro's movie, but it's so great that we adopted it. To make sure that we have the faces well organized, we keep them stored with different names to be sure that they don't get mixed up, because if you have to tell the difference between angry and squinting just by looking at them, you can easily get weird animations. So this is Carla's box, a little shoebox. Yes, there are two Carlas in here now. Maybe they're a little scary because they don't have faces. Would love to make a little bit of a more comfy place for them to rest. And she needs a face, and then she probably also needs some eyebrows and some eyelids and some pupils added on. And then we have stunt braid for crazy shots with the braid. So this is basically Carla and all her spare parts. And Kurt is also here. He's also lying around in plastic bags. This is basically where we have all our materials and tools. We have knives, scissors, tweezers, pliers. Around the studio we will also find different characters from the game. Maybe they're not in the game at the moment, maybe they've been written out, but sometimes they come back in the game and they're just standing around and waiting for their turn.
Hi Ida.
Hi Christina, what are you doing?
I'm refurbishing an old puppet and making some new limbs for him. Yeah, it's the puppet skeleton, and this character will not have any silicone or anything around, so it will be out in the open like this. Mm-hmm. Naked bony hands.
Yeah, this is what an armature for a puppet would look like. This guy is going to be fat, yes. So he has a little belly wiggle.
Yeah.
You have all the balls and sockets that can move in all possible angles. So this is mostly where it differs from a Barbie doll, is the functionality of the skeleton inside. So this in here is an area where we have more fabrication going on. It's also our main material storage area where we have everything in boxes. When we need to build something, it's nice to have a lot of trash. So you basically look through trash and see if you can find the shapes that you want. When you have a lot of trash, it's nice if it's categorized a little bit. It's very nice to be able to go through these boxes and like, I need a small metal thing, and then you go to small metal things and then you find just the small metal thing you need. But then you find exactly the shape that you needed, and you can put it on your object or the thing you're building. Yeah. Oh, there's also plastic with function, which is pieces that has a function, not really a specific function, but you can kind of They have a function, all of them. We also have a box of tiny boxes in here. Yeah, and then there are the boxes of bones, of course. We should maybe have a look at them. So, if you have a specific need for them, you can always find some bones to use for your project in here.
How did you acquire the bones?
Maybe a museum, I don't know, I don't remember. I actually don't know. If you zoom in, you can see the real teeth. It's not real human teeth, it's molds made out of real human teeth, and I think they're from a dentist, maybe? Yeah, I think these have been plucked out to be put into the mouth of that guy.
No! Okay, you got me! Huh. This isn't so bad.
This is a done wall where everything that is done is getting put up. So when a fabricator finishes a puppet, this one is finished, puppet head, then it's put up on the wall like a little trophy to celebrate. So these cabinets are very useful. It seems like it's not organized, but it is. The environment of the game is of course also handmade, and it's handmade in different fragmented pieces and modular pieces, you could say. There's a lot of thought going into getting all the details just right, and then it's put on top of a 3D surface that is then handmade in the end. It is a very important part of the process that we do all of these cracks and surface textures in hand, so that what you see in the game is has this handmade organic feeling. It's not just CGI crack, it's actually something that has been cracked by someone's hands in real life. So this is where the handcrafted elements meet the computers. This is our texture scanner. It's homemade. So we have the camera up here scanning, and these plates are supposed to be lit up. In here we have the 3D scanner. This is also a homemade scanner, and you basically have the object that needs to be 3D scanned here in the middle, and the camera goes up and around to take a photograph of the element. And this is a turntable that turns while you shoot, so you get many hundreds of images to make sure you have all the angles of the object. And that's all the characters that are waiting to get into the 3D scanner. This is the final stop for them before they go into the computer. When the animators are animating, they need to know exactly where the bones bend and where to access the screws. If they need to tighten an arm, if it starts to fall down, then they need to screw it tighter. You need to make the costume so that you can access all of these things. So you will at all times be able to access the skeleton. Hey Daniel, come in. You're planning out which faces to use for the lip sync.
Yeah, this way I can experiment easily what works and what not. To me, it's like getting closer to a performance, like a live performance. Not really, but still, like you don't have the option to go back, and yeah, it's kind of like getting into this like flow. Also, like the fact that I can touch the puppet and I can feel it with my hands. Like it's much more natural to me.
Oh, and Kurt and Carla is hanging out in there. I don't know what they're doing.
What are they doing?
I don't know. Hanging.